Welcome into the Energy Tech Podcast presented by Opside Energy, where today we're filming live from ENTELEC 2026. We're excited to welcome Brandon Young, CEO of Midland Tower Construction. Guys, welcome to Galveston.
Hey, Jeff, it is good to be here. I'm your co-host of the Energy Tech Podcast. I'm Mike Flores, live right here in Galveston, Texas at the Convention Center. He is part of ENTELEC 2026. We have a great guest with a good story, and he's going to bring it to us. Brandon Young, good to have you on the show, man. Glad you're here.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. How's everything been?
Hey, it's doing good, man. We're here live at ENTELEC, and our goal right here is to just talk to folks that either have a booth, if you're a producer, if you're a provider of products and services, you're part of the ENTELEC community. We really want to get reasons why you're even here at ENTELEC and then talk about what you do. So let's start with that, man. Brandon, share with us who you are, the company, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, sure. So in my early 20s, I had an opportunity to climb towers.
Yeah.
This is back when the analog antennas for TV broadcast was changing over to the digital. And a cousin came to town and he said, look, man, I'd like to see if you could climb towers with me. And I said, man, I might be afraid of heights. And he said, no, I don't think so. So he put me on a 1,200-foot tower in the middle of the dark and went up. And the next thing you know, I worked from what they call a green hand, so somebody with no experience, to a foreman. And, did that pretty record time. Actually was part of a team that put a crane on top of a 2,000-foot tower, and we changed out antennas on top of it. It was called a candelabra, so it's got 3 different positions, and we changed out these antennas that were anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 pounds. So for the next several years, I went around the country just traveling, and, my wife came to me and she said, hey, look, we got a family and you need to make some changes. So I got into to management at that time.
Yeah. So right now, you come to us, you are the CEO of the company, which is Midland Tower Construction. And I want to ask you a couple of things. Number one is, what kind of expertise do you think Midland Tower Construction brings to the area that you serve? When I think of Midland, I'm thinking the Permian. Is that right?
Sure, yeah. So we look at ourselves as kind of an extension to the network, right? So, a lot of times people have their own crews and they're out, doing the servicing of all of their microwave or whatever, type of technology they have out there. We're the guys that come in and we actually put in the foundations. So we have civil teams that's trained for going in, putting in the foundations, doing all the electrical, the compound, stacking the towers, and then testing, right? So our expertise, like we're doing PIM testing, fiber testing, suite testing, so microwave, any type of like additional support you need, that's what we do.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Are you exclusive to the Permian, or would you say that's where you have your bread and butter there is in Midland?
Yeah, so Midland was actually formed in 2000. Okay. And it was originally, we did a lot of work for the oil and gas, but we also do maintenance on other towers and infrastructure in the area. So today we're still present. We have an office in Midland, an office in Lubbock, but we also opened up an office in Dallas. So we cover actually from New Mexico, which we're licensed in, to Louisiana, which we're licensed in, and then Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. That's kind of where we cover.
Okay, so just to back this up for a second, so Midland Tower Construction, you've got a pretty good footprint. I want to talk about that in a minute. But as part of the footprint, it sounds like your expertise doesn't just fall in line with just like, hey, we lay a foundation, we erect some towers. You do a little more than that. It sounds like you're also touching a lot of those fiber networking pieces and those implementations, right?
For sure. Yeah. We focus heavy on all of that. Yes. All the implementation and any type of additional support. Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Inside of that, it sounds like you guys might also work with, usually you're working with a general contractor. And a lot of times you have these EPCs, and for anyone that doesn't know, those are typically your engineering, procurement, and construction groups. It sounds like you're involved with EPCs that bring certain specialties, right?
Yeah, every bit of that. So the EPCs, we work with a lot of engineers, and we work with a lot of people where they're actually designing it. We'll come in and we'll do anything from helping support on the maintenance side or going through and actually helping design, get the geotech people out and actually, start to finish from start to end. Yes.
So this is not just putting people on the ground or boots. You're talking more about front-end engineering and design. So you start early on in the process.
Very much so. Yeah, a lot of times, we're getting the information directly from the customer and going through and helping them with whatever their needs are. Absolutely.
Wow. So let me ask you this. It sounds like your footprint's grown. You mentioned Midland. You've got pretty much Texas. So your footprint sounds like it's following two things. You're either talking oil and gas, energy, or data center, or both. Is that what you're seeing?
For sure. And we also do support the carriers. So,
Okay.
we work directly with the carriers. In 22, myself, James, and Simon, my business partners that are here today, we purchased Midland Tower. And at the time, we were 12 employees.
Wow.
We've worked really hard. Now we're at 55.
Okay.
So, definitely growth going. But, we focus more on organic growth and making sure that the teams that we have the proper tools, the proper training. We focus really hard on our core values to make sure everybody understands, situations change, but as long as your core values are in line, then you definitely are making the right decision.
Tell me more about that, man. Where do the core values come from? Is this part of your story when you first started, or is it something that you and your business partners sat down and said, hey, this is important to us if we do business with anybody?
No, so yeah, it's definitely, who I am and the team itself. God has definitely been center for us.
Perfect.
A lot of doors have opened, very similar to when we purchased Midland Tower. It was one of those things where, I knew that God was controlling everything because my wife and I, we prayed about it, we talked about it.
Yes.
And as the conversations continued to happen, doors would open that even if, somebody tried to close it, there was no way it would be, right?
Yes.
So for us, it's just having that foundation, that's something solid to stand on, which is what Midland Tower is. Midland Tower has always had a core group of foundational people that worked here that truly they understand the needs of what's going on. So we're not just putting boots on the ground. We're actually bringing trained employees out to make sure that, whatever our customer needs are, that we're providing those services.
That sounds great, man. When I think of that, the one word that I think of is the word integrity. The word integrity derives from the word integer, meaning whole. So I think everything you're talking about is a whole. It's kind of this whole thing that brings integrity. So it sounds like that's what Midland Tower does in terms of its integrity, both in the front-end engineering, your engineering aspect, the building side, working directly with those people, including a general contractor, that EPC, down to the actual producers, right? These are the people that ultimately wind up with the outcome of the work that you've done.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
That is fair statement.
And so, what do you think right now, for Midland, if I'm a small producer and I'm looking at, let's say it's in any one of those areas, tell me about, things that you help out in terms of complexity and easeability. Like, hey, we come in and here's the expertise we provide to reduce complexity.
Absolutely. So what we look for with all of our customers is we're looking at what do we need to do to make their lives easier, right? So it's first identifying the roadblocks, and then at that point, when we sit down with them, have a conversation, understand what their needs are, get them in line with what we need because we have those needs as well, right? So tell them this is where we need to be. At that point, we just build out a roadmap, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've got this roadmap, and I want to ask you this, Brandon. A couple of questions. Is number one, on your roadmap, where do you think the technology is going for you guys? How is Midland Tower, advancing with different technologies, right? In terms of the growth of, not just wireless, but data. Data seems to be the biggest push right now in terms of how you're working.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a company, everything is data driven. And when we talk about this all the time, all of our customers, everybody's wanting to, they're trying to track whatever, they're needing to. We're doing the same on our end, right? So it's all about trying to figure out how we can be more efficient, bringing it to the customer and giving them what they need.
Got it.
Yeah.
And, this is going to be a tough one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Has any of your major customers come to you and talk about how you do work and how you integrate with artificial intelligence?
That's a big one, but you know what? we have this conversation all the time, and AI is something that, you don't need to be afraid of.
Sure.
You just need to make sure you're always going to have that human touch.
Yes.
And you need to embrace it and use it as a tool.
Yes. A couple final questions. Let me ask you. You've obviously been to, I think you mentioned you've been to ENTELEC before. How long is it that you guys been working with the ENTELEC community?
So 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
Excellent. And so if right now I'm a producer, whether I'm in the Permian or I'm any one of those areas that you touch, how do they reach out to you guys?
Yeah, so it's real easy. They can either get in touch with us, look us up on Google or our website, www.midlandtower.com. Swing by. We're at booth 314, and we'll be ready for them.
Awesome. So Brandon Young, the CEO for Midland Tower Construction, you're right here at ENTELEC 2026. You can come catch him. He's actually right across from us. We're at 315. He's just across right here at the 300s. Come and see him. This is great. Brandon, glad to have you, man, and just have a quick conversation with you about what you're doing.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, Brandon Young, the CEO over at Midland Tower Construction. I'm your co-host, Mike Flotis with the ENTELEC Podcast. Like and subscribe. Join us here at ENTELEC.